Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel! When we think of ancient Rome, who comes to mind? Julius Caesar, Augustus, maybe gladiators like Spartacus, right? We picture grand emperors, legendary generals, and epic battles. But what if I told you that the real story of Rome, the one that explains how a small city-state grew into a world-spanning empire, isn't just about the names in the history books? Today, we're diving deep into the shadows of history to shine a light on Rome's unsung heroes. These are the people whose contributions were the very bedrock of Roman civilization, and their stories matter more than you think. Let's start with the engineers and architects. We all marvel at the Colosseum, the aqueducts, and the endless Roman roads. But who actually built them? It wasn't the emperors laying the stones. It was legions of brilliant, anonymous engineers and countless skilled and unskilled laborers. Think about the aqueducts for a second. These weren't just simple channels. They were marvels of engineering, precisely graded over dozens of miles to bring fresh water to teeming cities. This clean water was a game. It improved public health, prevented disease, and allowed cities like Rome to grow to 1 million people, a population size unheard of in the ancient world. Without these engineers, Rome would have been thirstier, dirtier, and far, far smaller. They were the architects of daily life, and their work outlasted most emperors' legacies. Next, let's talk about the Roman legionary. Not the famous generals, but the average soldier. The guy named Gaius or Marcus from a small farm in Italy. For him, joining the army was a 25-year commitment. A lifetime. These men weren't just fighters. They were the Swiss army knives of the ancient world. On a single campaign, a legionary would march hundreds of miles carrying over 60 pounds of gear, then dig a fortified camp every single night. They built bridges, constructed roads, and enforced Roman law in far-flung provinces. They were the builders and policemen of the empire just as much as they were its conquerors. Their discipline and versatility were the true reasons for the Roman military's success. While generals got the glory and the triumphs, it was the sweat, blood, and calloused hands of the common soldier that expanded and held the empire together. Now, let's move from the battlefield to the home and the marketplace. We have to talk about Roman women. In a society that was overwhelmingly patriarchal, it's easy to overlook their influence. But Roman women were the managers of the household, which was the core unit of Roman society. They managed family finances, educated the children, and oversaw the slaves. A well-run household was a sign of status and stability. Women like Cornelia, the mother of the Gracchi brothers, were celebrated for raising influential sons, showing that a mother's role was seen as crucial to the future of the Republic. Furthermore, women were weavers, shopkeepers, priestesses, and midwives. They were active participants in the economy and religious life, weaving the social fabric of Rome every single day. Their work was often invisible, but absolutely essential. And what about the people who truly had no voice? The slave. It's a dark and difficult part of Roman history, but we can't ignore it. At its height, a huge percentage of the empire's population was enslaved. They toiled in the mines, on the massive farms known as latifundia, and in the homes of the wealthy. They were the engine of the Roman economy. Highly educated slaves from Greece served as tutors, doctors, and scribes, preserving and transmitting knowledge. Others were artisans whose crafts filled the markets. Their existence was brutal and unjust, but their labor built the wealth and luxury that the Roman elite enjoyed. To understand Rome is to understand that its grandeur was built on the backs of millions who had no freedom. Acknowledging their forced contribution isn't to glorify the system, but to paint a complete and honest picture of this complex civilization. Finally, let's consider the local magistrates and administrators in the provinces. We hear about the governors, often corrupt and power-hungry. But what about the thousands of local officials? The *DECURIONES* who served on city councils from Britain to Syria. These were local elites who volunteered their time and money to maintain their cities. They funded public buildings, organized festivals, and ensured the grain supply was stable. They were the crucial link between the imperial government in Rome and the diverse peoples of the empire. They fostered a sense of shared Roman identity and kept the vast machinery of the empire running smoothly, far from the emperor's gaze. Their civic duty and local pride were the glue that held the provinces together. So, why does this all matter? Because looking at these unsung heroes gives us a more complete, more human, and more accurate picture of Rome. The empire wasn't just built by a few great men. It was a colossal, collective effort. It was built by the engineer who designed a perfect arch, the soldier who dug a ditch in the rain, the mother who managed her family's fortune, the slave who harvested the grain, and the town councilman who paid for a new fountain. Their stories show us that history is made by everyone, not just the people who get statues. The true legacy of Rome isn't just in the marble ruins, but in the enduring idea that ordinary people working together can achieve extraordinary things. Thank you so much for watching. Who do you think are the most overlooked figures in history? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into history. We'll see you in the next one.